I'm going to open up my can before. All right, now I'm good.
All right, let's get back to some boring subjects.
Understand the risk to our country.
Freedom brings people together.
You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
What's going on there? All right, welcome back to the program. I can't hear myself. I need to turn myself up. Sorry, we are rusty. It's been a couple months since we've been back. I'll let you know why, but we're going to talk about, I think, the funniest Trump story in history is that they tried to book the Four Seasons for a press conference and then ended up at Four Seasons Landscaping. This story may have surpassed that. So stay tuned and we'll get in and find out what it is next.
Warning, this show is for adults, produced by semi-adults. So the language is sometimes strong and offensive.
I don't know what I said.
Welcome to We Are Libertarians, where our goal is to help you sound smarter while talking to your friends. We examine current events from a libertarian perspective while treating modern politics with all of the irreverence it deserves.
There has been lie after lie.
We toss out the screaming heads, put people before political parties, and give context to the news to make you think. Now, here's our host, a 15-year veteran of politics and media, Chris Spangle.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Thanks for joining us here on the show. Gotta adjust my mic, sorry. Professionalism at its finest, that's what we're known for. Got Harry talking about opening up his can, Rhinehold snorting in the beginning. I'm off cue. But we're back. We're here, we're together, and we're talking about the reflecting pool. We're going to give you all the details you need to know about the reflecting pool here in just a few moments. But first, let's just catch up a little bit. I've been moving. I'm in my brand new office for the first show here in the brand new office at my new house. It looks on YouTube just like the old office because I took a photo before I tore it all down. And so that's what that is. But if you saw it, it would look... here, let me show you how not cool this is. Harry and Rhinehold are here per usual. Yeah, look at this. Not quite as cool, but this is one of those bonus rooms. Harry, this has no air conditioning in this office. There's no airflow. So my sister-in-law is going to be sleeping on this pull-out couch tonight. So good luck because it's going to be like 90 degrees in here. And the ceilings go like way down. So to get to that bookshelf back there, I have to crawl on my hands and knees. But I've got my office. I've got an office because I had to break down my office at the old house for Matthew so he could have the room. So I didn't have an office. I was doing the podcast from like my bedroom like a troglodyte.
It's good to have sacrifices for family, and it's good for your back to bend and, squat down to get to your bookshelf.
I really do need to get... go ahead, Rhinehold.
I'll say it's good for him for his OnlyFans. All right, so it's already in the bedroom.
Yeah, got that back bend already going. Yeah, I need to get with you. I am so... after moving for 3 months, we bought the house late February. So we've been moving ever since. Like, you got to paint the house, then you got to move your stuff, and then you got to put all your stuff, and then the thing that went in one place doesn't fit in that place, so then you got to buy new things to put in the places to put your things on. I walk like an elderly person, and I'm only 42. I've got to get with you on yoga.
Yeah, got to do it. It feels great. You can move. Like I said, like you can put my sister and I next to each other. We're 9 months apart. She struggles to get off the floor. I bounce right up.
Yep. A supple leopard. A supple leopard, as Carrie Starrett calls it.
It's or like like everyone's like, oh, everyone's got that dad groan. I just stand up.
You're like doing tournaments and stuff for yoga.
Yes, yeah, I do competitive yoga. Yeah.
How do you compete in yoga?
Same way you do compete in everything. You do your very best and you show off. So it's a really cool, it's kind of like gymnastics. You
like the floor routine where you come up with a yoga routine?
Yep. Yeah, you come up with a routine. You got to demonstrate 6 different postures, demonstrating the 3 different categories of yoga for flexibility, strength, and balance. You got to do those at least twice in your routine, each one twice. You got to do a traction, back bend, lift, inversion, spine twist, and a front compression.
So is that what you're judged on, or are those the moves that you do?
That's what those categories is judged on. So you've got to do different postures based off of those 6 different categories. So like, yeah, so you end up, and you've got a book of different postures you can do that are acceptable. Sorry, corpse pose is not one of the postures you can do. A lot of people.
That's the one I'm really good at. If I don't start exercising, I'm gonna be really, really good at it.
So I always tell people, like, if the stiffer you are on the board, you probably should do it. It's and you feel great doing it. Like the competitive part of it forces me to have my own private practice of it. But before, I was just only like, the only time I do yoga is when I went into class. But now that I do it, have to do competitively, have to go on stage in front of people, like, oh, I'm gonna have to go practice on an extra Saturday or have time off, or if this meeting is boring, I'm just going to
How do I get started with it? Do I just find a YouTube channel and just do it?
You can do that. I don't recommend doing off a yoga channel or something like a YouTube channel like that, because to get started, a lot of it is a lot of breath work and movement and being the correct movement. So I really do recommend going to a school to actually learn how to do this. Help develop.
When I was doing Pilates, it was like that. Like Pilates is like you'd be holding your thing and they go, no, turn like this, a quarter of an inch to the right, and then all of a sudden what you're doing becomes infinitely harder. Rhinehold's gotta go poop. He'll be right back. It is better with a teacher for sure. It's just hard. The reason I had to stop doing Pilates and Orange Theory, even though I'm down to my lowest weight that I've been since probably middle school. It's hard to find the time with 3 kids and 4 jobs, and my schedule never lines up with their schedule. So how do you manage that part? How do you get into the studio?
So I get up at 4 a.m. every day.
Oh, yeah, me too. But it's insomnia. It's not intentional.
I intentionally get up at 4 a.m. and I make sure I hit the studio about 5 a.m. and I can get my 60 to 90 minutes in and then be back home before most people in the house have even woken up.
Yeah. I think that's just what I have to do. I stick around so Reagan can sleep. Lucy just turned 1. So we have, we had a little girl a year ago, and Matthew just turned 3. And then we've got a 7.5-year-old. But Reagan's still not sleeping through the night. So I like to be around in the mornings just to make sure she can get some sleep, but it's killing my exercise.
Yeah. But it's also great self-care, even for her. She finds a studio that you like, because you guys can also like trade off on which days you guys can go.
Yeah.
And it helps build up your network. It's really good for that part of community aspect of it, because you'll have that shared space, and it's some place that you can go, because like most people only have time for church on Sunday. It's the only time you get to meet people in your community or something is on Sunday. This is you go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and meet people that show up early in the morning, show them in the afternoon, and it's a great way to feel like this communal, and also help raise up your property value if you can find a yoga studio that you can walk to. Oh man, if you can get Reagan to walk to a yoga studio, property values go up 20%.
We have one actually. We lived in Fall Creek Place. Sorry, I'm just playing with my new equipment because it didn't look right. We have one now. It's still within walking distance, a longer walk, 10 blocks south. But Rhinehold, the only stretching that Rhinehold does is patting himself on the back at how right he's been about the Trump administration. You've had 14 broken shoulders over the last year and a half. Is that correct?
It's this constantly in surgery and getting that taken care of. So I got to the point where I'm hiring out that function now to an assistant, because I just can't keep doing it.
Is that legal?
It's too damaging. Well, in this day and age when everything is pretty much legal, who cares?
Well, but see, it's legal if you're on the right team, and you are not on the right team, sir.
Oh, I can fake it till I make it, I guess.
Every time they're in our group chat, we have a group chat that's always rolling, and I thought Harry just quit the show because he didn't respond for 2 weeks. So I was like texting Rhinehold. I'm like, did he quit, or does he hate me, or what's going on? Because I'm like saying, hey, let's do the show, and then we didn't hear from you for like 3 weeks. No, I'm not going to say anything. That's happened before, but there are other things going on.
Yeah. I took a social media break. This get McBrandle says there's just so much crap going on, and because like I connect the Facebook through a virtual machine, I got it isolated, right? And I have to own the virtual machine, and when that thing broke and I couldn't get into Facebook, I was like, oh, I could just I can just log in. I just choose. I put friction between me and Facebook, and
meaning you want to firewall electronically. So you're talking about like a VPN type deal.
No. It's just on a different virtual machine. Like I've got my base desktop that I'm talking about you now, but then I will remote into another computer that's here at the network on the house, and then that machine goes to Facebook.
Okay.
So every time I get
super complicated and not worth it. Why do you do that?
I want friction between me and Facebook, and I don't want Facebook looking at everything on this base machine. Second,
okay,
it's all there.
What are you keeping on that machine? What state secrets are you worried about?
Sanity.
Facebook sanity, because when I'm done with social media, I turn it off the machine. And like I said, and when it broke, and I had to repair the machine or do something else, instead of doing any of that, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna take 2 weeks off. And I honestly, I didn't want to turn it back on. It felt great. But then I realized Spangle's moving. He's doing all this stuff. And maybe I should call him. But it's if he needs me, he needs to call. He could call me. He could text me.
I could call, yeah.
And
if I really...
and then I felt bad. It was like, what if he is Spiral and it's wondering that guy? What if everyone else is doing this?
But yeah, so you just disappeared, and I was like, oh. And then you showed back up one day. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because I had other people reaching out and was like, you haven't sent any memes.
Hey, you're sending other people memes and not us?
Yeah. I've got a
bullshit
group of people that
I don't think you want the hentai memes.
Whoa,
probably
wouldn't get it. Whoa. They're not hentai memes. It's just spicy memes. They're not hentai though.
Well, so in our group chat, every time a conservative goes over the top and declaring victory, Andrew Bowman or I will put it into the group chat take that, Rhinehold.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said your real name. Rhinehold's totally owned now. And the reflecting pool was one of those stories, Rhinehold, where it's oh, see, look at the reflection. Take that.
Look how great it looks for 2 days.
I have to say, this is the quintessential Trump story. So I've been working with Claude and Replit to try to build a tool. It's going to cost a little money, but I'm going to get it done eventually, where I can go back and transcribe all 1,600 episodes of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can keyword search what we've said in the past. Because I remember reading in 2015 Mike Duncan's book about the fall of Rome, maybe early 2016. And when you read the part in that about the Gracchi brothers and how the norms get broken, and then that starts the de-evolution of the Republic into what became Caesar and Augustus, and then eventually Nero and all of the fall of Rome, right? It's never been I don't dislike Trump because he's conservative. I'm more conservative now than I think I've ever been, and you guys can back me up on that.
Yeah, it's definitely more lame.
Yeah, but it's when you have power, you have to have a certain character. Otherwise, you take advantage of power. Rhinehold was talking about the traits of narcissism. The story of Narcissist is he's gazing into a pool and seeing his reflection. And, if you had 3 of these 9 traits, maybe pull that up, Rhinehold, and read that off.
It was 5 of 9 traits. I could pull up
Yeah, and so I just remember reading that going, oh, this guy is those guys, and this is not going to end well. And it hasn't. And what you saw in the first term is a man who was actually deeply incompetent because he didn't understand the job. He's not intellectually curious at all. He doesn't read. He doesn't read his briefings. It's just pure self-aggrandization, self-enrichment. He's really just doing all of this for himself, for his own sense of power. Having been a libertarian for 20, 25 years or whatever, and studying history, studying the relationship of power, you start to see signs in people and go, this person should not have power because it echoes these problematic things, right? So conservatives tend to take Trump criticism as you don't like them and you're talking about them. I think there's plenty of reasons to disagree with Republican governance, ideology. All that is totally fair. Like for me, it's always been about the character of Donald Trump. And I don't think after 10 years of this and 50 years of public life, you can argue that he has character, especially if you're on the right and you've been talking about Bill Clinton for 35 years and you are a Christian. Like, I don't get the appeal here. So
he's
Rhinehold,
literally anything that he
go ahead, that
speaks against.
Yes. So why don't we just go through this list? We're not getting all off into Trump because we're going to talk about the reflecting pool, and you're going to get a little history and timeline of what's going on and see what we can actually know about the story, right? But according to the DSM, what's that, Rhinehold?
The diagnostics criteria, basically the manual that psychologists use to kind of identify if somebody's in a certain type of disorder,
like histrionic, bipolar, which is called something else. All those different kind of deviations from quote unquote, like it sets a standard for discussing certain things. So here's the 9. Okay. I want you two to keep track. All right. You two listen and just like hold a finger up or something if you think Trump identifies with this trait. A grandiose sense of self-importance. Example, the individual exaggerates achievements and talents and expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements.
Okay.
A preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Okay. A belief that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high-status people or institutions. Look at this crowd. Everybody's so beautiful. It's nice to be in a crowd of just men. A need for excessive admiration. A sense of entitlement, i.e. unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. Interpersonally exploitative behavior. The individual takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends. A lack of empathy, unwillingness to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. Envy of others or a belief that others are envious of him or her. And finally, a demonstration of arrogant and haughty behaviors and attitudes. Did you catch that, little piggy? So yeah, I feel like maybe a guy who can't think beyond himself shouldn't have the keys to the largest military, or else he might start bombing countries and put the entire world into a position where they're begging a terror state to let them have oil. Oh, well, yeah, we'll do that, but you've got to let us control the strait and charge tolls so we can raise $10 billion a year so we can continue to fund our nuclear ambitions. Genius.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Such a better deal. But yeah, this is so bad.
We'll talk about Iran next episode. Maybe we can make up for lost time and do an episode in a week or two or something. But
well, that everything that happens there just goes stales over time. It was like another drone attack this morning for us, but last night. But yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean the to me the reflecting pool. There were a lot of good. If you were a conservative Republican, there were a lot of really good wins in that first term.
Yes.
Tax cuts, the additional Supreme Court justice, and all these different things. A lot of that happened because of the conservative Republican establishment that was there that he continually beat up. Mitch McConnell, Mike Pence, Dan Coates, like all these people who were there who were like curbing the real Donald Trump and managing the bureaucracy, which is the point of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is a check and balance on power because, so for instance, Richard Nixon used to get drunk at night, call one of his chiefs of staff and say, hey, let's bomb Cambodia. And what they would do is they would ignore it. Let's launch missiles at France. Weird, crazy stuff. If he brought it up a second time, then they would actually do it. But if he just said it once, they ignored it, right? And that was kind of the approach to the bureaucracy around Trump in the first term.
Yeah.
Because he's fundamentally a criminal who doesn't understand what he's doing, and he's deeply incompetent. You really saw that in the COVID era, which is why he lost to a corpse, someone who was barely functioning. It's just the Democrats are like, I'm not one of those. Harry, you may be one of these people. You're so anti-Trump that you become a Democrat.
Ah, man, I have.
I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not a Democrat, but I also understand that so too many of these Republicans are lapdogs. So it's like, I can't have you because, like, you're not listening to me. And I'd rather give someone a vote for a no vote.
Right.
But I'm definitely not a Democrat. Like, but I also give, but it's weird to not, especially here in Indiana, to like watch people do just that. They're just like, you know what, screw it. If we're going to be this much in debt and like this, I want these things. We're going to do these things. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Because some of the stuff, because it's one thing is like Trump is, I gotta put it, a lot of the things that he pushes for under the guise of calling it conservative Republican, the knee-jerk, the way he did it, because Rhinehold talks about this, the way he did it is so jarring that people are like, no, I don't want that, and we'll run in the opposite direction. A lot of these regional hospitals, these small regional hospitals, they're going away. It is, people don't understand what's going to happen next year.
Right, like getting rid of the bed bug. You got rid of the bed bug administration, and then it got infested with bed bugs. That was another crazy story. You'll have to look up. I don't know all the details, but I'm just like, there's not a lot of like forethought in how these things go. It's just like, let's just do this because we want to show him that we're doing something in his name. And I think like Stephen Miller has a strategy, has a plan, is executing those things. Right. Like there are people who are ideological and trying to execute things. But the thing about Trump is he will always humiliate you. He will always look at what he's done to J.D. Vance in Iran. Like J.D. Vance has been anti-war, and he puts him in his place by making him negotiate the peace and defend his policy of bombing Iran when J.D. Vance, at least in this half a decade, doesn't agree with those things.
Yep.
But he's just Marco Rubio.
Or Marco.
But here's the thing about the reflecting pool, because I think it's just like, when there's a story like abortion or immigration or COVID or Iran, there's the feeling around it is so intense, rightly so, because it's life or death. It's just palpable, right? The reflecting pool is not a human being getting killed. So it's easy to kind of like laugh at it, but also use it to illustrate the theme of Donald Trump when he actually is trying to execute a plan, because it so perfectly encapsulates what he does, how he operates, how his administration works, which is not in a way that manages bureaucracies to get things done. It's just purely, it's like the idea himself. Let's start with the idea of fixing this reflecting pool. Like, who cares?
It was like, it's the who cares, but it was like supposed to be the prettying up for 250, which really understand.
Totally fine with that. Make our share. This is the thing. Like, I'm a historic preservation guy. Let's preserve history. Let's make it look good. Mm-hmm. The White House, the Capitol, the Lincoln Memorial, these are property of the people of the United States. It is not Donald Trump's property. So right away, we already have a problem because he thinks of these things as his, which you think these things are yours and you're building a ballroom for after your term. Makes me think you're not going to want to leave.
Yeah.
Especially when you already tried to do that and kill your vice president last time.
Correct. Yeah. And I really dislike all the people that's like, well, these are jokes. Like this, he's got a track record of it's jokes.
I feel like we're way past kidding, right?
Yeah, we're way past
past the jokes at this point, Harry.
Yeah.
He's not kidding.
He's not kidding. These are jokes.
Let's go to this program called Washington Week, which is one of these historic Sunday shows that is hosted by a guy by the name of Jeffrey Goldberg, who's the editor of The Atlantic. So let me make this full screen for you so you can see it. So he is talking to a guy named Michael Scherer about the reflecting pool. So check this out.
The Atlantic reported this week that in a meeting with Lonnie Bunch, the head of the Smithsonian last year, President Trump spent most of the time talking about chandelier color.
Yeah.
And also talking about his deep desire to knock down Dulles Airport and rename it after himself, rebuild it. It's not really a joke at all to suggest that President Trump cares more about architecture, design, interior decorating than he cares about almost anything.
Yeah, he's a hobbyist who happens to be president, and he's getting to do his hobby with public taxpayer dollars to whatever extent he wants. Part of this is also that he conflates national greatness with what he can do. And that's sort of part of his identity, as part of his politics. We saw him on the National Mall this week launching the Great American State Fair, patriotic event, supposed to be a unifying moment. It was all about how great he has been as president. That was his speech. That was a speech he delivered. And these projects are not going to end. I reported this week that he had said months ago that he was repaving the colonnade outside the Oval Office with black African granite.
It was Tennessee flagstone, but that was not good enough.
That was not good enough. And he said he'd pay for it, but he isn't paying for it. The Park Service documents show that the Park Service was billed for it. And he keeps going to Congress. He went there initially for $10 billion for DC beautification. They said no. He said he wanted $1 billion in the summer supplemental for White House security enhancements. They said no. He just put up a supplemental for the Iran war, and he asked for another $500 million for the Park Service, including he wants to rebuild the retaining wall, I think, around the golf course that he wants to redo, the seawall there on the Potomac River. So he's not done. He's just getting going. I mean, we're going to have project after project after project because it is really the thing that captures his imagination, gets him excited.
Is this because he's a hotel guy?
His whole life has been this. Yes, from the beginning. I mean, like, go back to the earliest quotes you can find of Donald Trump in 1983 or 84. It's about what he knows about real estate and how to make buildings beautiful.
So yeah, I think that kind of captured, I don't know what's going on with Rhinehold, but that to me captured like so much of where his attention is. And I just wonder, like, if you're one of these, like the people, these journalists would go out in 2017 to places like Sullivan, Indiana, like they were Jane Goodall looking at the poor monkeys, the poor white working class monkeys. If you're one of those people in Sullivan, Indiana, who thought this guy was going to make your life better, like, are you wondering when that's going to start?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Or has he done enough culture warring for you to just be on his side and he hasn't gotten a fair shake? But to me, the thing that you have to understand is like this cycle that we have with Donald Trump, where he has an idea that excites him, that motivates him, says get it done. He ignores all the rules, all the process to protect public property from people like him. They went back to the company that resurfaced it under Obama and they said this can't be done. Not in the time frame you're doing, not this color, like it's just not going to happen. So he ignores the experts in that thing. He overspends to get done what he wants to get done. Then when it gets done, he declares historic victory. Like, look at this, libs. You libs, you all hate this. You hate that I'm winning. Look at the White House is putting out pictures of the reflections on the water, and Obama couldn't do this. And then it ends in total failure and humiliates Donald Trump. And he gets self-conscious because now all of a sudden the liner's floating up and on and on. So he has to make up a conspiracy theory about how he's winning and the enemy within is sabotaging him. And then the next stage that we're not at yet is, well, this doesn't matter. This isn't a story that matters. Like, I agree with you. I don't think any of this matters. But when the issue does matter, this is the pattern. You don't listen to people. You do what you want to do anyways. It goes badly. Then you blame people who aren't responsible. And in this case, it does matter to the 7 people who are being arrested who may or may not have done anything.
Yeah.
They're taking away their freedom because you're embarrassed. which is the exact opposite of justice.
Yep.
And then, so you're making up conspiracy theories, and then we're all going to pretend that this didn't matter. The guy drove his motorcade over the Rhino liner that was placed on the stupid thing before the glue had dried.
Yeah.
Maybe
some of the heaviest vehicles in the world just drove over the ground.
Right. But then he said that it was a 350-foot razor knife had been taken to the liner to cut it. That's over a football field. So you want me to believe that somebody got in that reflecting pool with a razor knife, cut it for over a football field without getting caught, and that caused the algae to bloom in a week, as opposed to you driving on it, which is a much more plausible explanation, and we have video evidence of you doing it. Like, it just boggles my mind why we're here. And Rhinehold, his video's not working, but we're going to add him anyways so we can hear him. But I mean, do you both feel like I'm kind of on target with this theory that, like, look, this is a great story because it doesn't matter, but it perfectly encapsulates Donald Trump's ability to lead?
Yeah.
Well, or inability to lead.
Inability.
So that's the thing, is that he can't accept responsibility. He's got to blame it on somebody else. He can't. The buck can never stop with him. It's always his enemies. This is always an excuse to attack his enemies. Everything lines up with how he treats every single issue or anything that comes across his desk, because this is his modus of operandi. It's always somebody else's fault. He always is right, and he'll find any scapegoat he can to blame somebody else other than himself, because it's that narcissistic mentality that he has. It's always somebody else. It can't be me because I am perfect.
Yeah. It's also like a good test for the MAGA people in your life to see if they've got free will left. You know, it's a low case, there's no dead girls in school. They can go like, well, we don't know. It's like, okay, cool. This is a pool. You have pool in your backyard. You've got things in your house. You understand how this is. I'm sure you had a kiddie pool like that. You can talk about this. And if they can't objectively look at everything in front of them, you're talking with someone who doesn't have free will. They don't have it. Just stop talking to them. They don't have it.
Like, you can't. When I was a Bush guy, I was like, well, yeah, he made a mistake here. Like, I think every person who's like really bought into a party that I ever was around could call balls and strikes to some extent.
Yes.
Except like the really weird talk radio guy. But now algorithms, I think, have helped just design. It's turned people into zombies. It's not a right or left thing. It's literally just like people they don't go outside of, like, they just open their Instagram. The amount of people who are just satisfied being mediocre blows my mind. I'm just gonna.
I think part of it is that for a long time, these are people who are right-wing populists who have been kind of on the outside of politics for a long time, because the Republican Party had kind of gone to the center a little bit, and the Democrats were a little bit in the center with Clinton, and then Bush was kind of pushed back into the center, and then that sort of thing. But these people were kind of outside politics. Now they've got somebody who's speaking to them. Whether he is that or not is completely arbitrary. I don't think he really is, but he's speaking to their hatred of the left. So they're making the libs cry. So anything that happens has to be some way that it's the left's fault. The left is wrong. The left are crazy. The left need to be shut down and put down. And Trump's the guy who's been telling us he's going to do it. So that's why they support him for everything that he does. And like they say that these people are arrested, yet in federal law, if you arrest somebody, you have to arraign them within 48 hours. There's been nobody on any kind of list or public dockets or anything like that being arraigned. There's no names. There's no pictures. There's no mugshots. You cannot tell me that if they didn't have video evidence of somebody vandalizing the pool or their name and picture or something, that it wouldn't be 24 hours on Fox News.
Well, yeah, but haven't you seen the video of the woman pulling up the patch of the liner? They put that out as evidence.
I've seen the video of the woman who was putting her camera in the pool, and they say she was doing that, but there's no actual video of her doing that. And then they say they arrested her, but they never actually in the video arrest her. They just pull her.
You watch
off
the
her.
video, you can very clearly see the woman is getting a souvenir.
Yeah.
She is going and ripping out the liner. But look, this is far after all of this became a story. They're trying to take this piece of evidence from 2 days ago and make it seem like it was 2 weeks ago and this person caused the algae.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's where it's dishonest. But then people go, well, defend yourself against this. Look at this video. I don't have to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't really know all the details, and I don't know all the details, but you just have a gut feeling that you're right. What do we do?
What they've done, what they're doing is they're saying they arrested these people, but what's happening is they detain them, they take them away, they scare them, and then they let them go. Because they're not charging them. There's nobody charged with any of this stuff except for the one Olympian. That's not going to go anywhere because his lawyers are just going crazy, and it's a feeding frenzy now on the stupidity of it.
Yeah.
And if you look at all these different cases that have been going on, right? There's all these cases like the Chicago 6 and
just keep talking. I'm going to play the video. Okay.
Garcia and all these guys they went and forced these indictments against or going to the court system to try and get them put in jail. And it's all fallen apart because they're completely manipulating and lying to the grand juries. They're breaking all the procedures of law to try to get this forced through because it's pure political attacks. And then you find out what happens is that sets precedents where judges are now not any longer giving the government the benefit of the doubt on this stuff.
Yep.
So now they're saying, okay, let's go look at the grand jury because you did get this indictment. Let's go look and see what you did because we've already seen in these other cases where you've completely manipulated the grand jury and told them to trust you and that if they don't agree with you, then they should leave the grand jury and that sort of thing. So it's like, what's going on with this, right? You're not, they're not going to be successful in this effort, but the problem is they don't have to be. They never have had to be. They just have to get the splash in the story. They have to get it out there so that their followers can then say, look, we've proven this is going on. They've proven that the 2020 election was stolen. It's like, no, they haven't. And it's, oh, yes, they have. There's all kinds of proof out there. I'm like, there's not a single shred of proof. What do you?
150 lawsuits they lost to show that they're
They
wrong.
were just told. Yeah, they were just told that it is, and they want to believe it. So that is their truth now.
Yep.
Go ahead, Harry.
I was just going to say, yeah. That's another one of those free will questions, like who won the 2020 presidential election? See if they've got free will. Can you actually talk to this person? The other thing I like to do is talk with people. It's like, let's go back to the beginning. What was this place? What the original, when we go back and before a lot of the beautiful stuff of the engineers has built of DC proper of what we see all these cool monuments, this place is a swamp.
Well, that's part of the problem with the reflecting pool, but and this may be a good time. Let's go through a timeline, okay? Because you brought up something that's important. So why is the reflecting pool a mess? Why did it need fixed, and why does it constantly need fixed? Oh, buddy, look at those Spider-Man shoes. You want to talk to? Okay, you can come say hi. Say hi.
What's that?
That's called a microphone board. Can you say hi? Look up there. Say hi, Harry.
Hi.
Okay. You go play, bud. Okay? I love your Spider-Man shoes. Those are so cool. Okay, you can sit here and watch if you want.
I watch you right
You can watch me right here. Okay. But just try to be quiet, okay? Try. You just say, I'm 3.
I'm 3.
Yeah, you're 3.
I did the airplane and it's just stop.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, I did the airplane.
Do you want to go on an airplane?
Yeah.
Okay. He saw airplanes yesterday and he's been asking every minute to go on an airplane.
Nice.
So, Matthew, there is something in Washington, D.C. called the reflecting pool. Have you ever heard of that? Okay, so it's outside of the Lincoln Memorial, which was dedicated in 1922, but the reflecting pool was not finished for that ceremony. And then a year later, in 1923, the pool was completed after the dedication of the Lincoln Memorial. And what they did is they drained and filled with water from the Potomac River, which is a recurring theme here.
Daddy,
Yeah?
I didn't.
You need to go downstairs?
No.
Okay. And so that's the origin of the pool. over decades, the heavy structure sinks, it cracks, it leaks. And in the 1980s, concrete is poured into the bottom to try to patch the damage. But by 1986, the structural system is reportedly failing. And eventually, the pool is losing about 500,000 gallons of water per week through the cracks, leaks, and evaporation. Now, the old pool is hard to hold. It holds about 6.75 million gallons of water, and it loses huge amounts of water and lacks a real circulation system. And so the big problem with the pool is that it's shallow. There's no trees, so there's lots of sun. There is shallow water, and there's no movement. And so that is just a recipe for algae. The problem with this lining is that the lining made it a lot darker, which heats up the water even more, which helps sprout the algae. So we took a problem that said we're going to make it better and exacerbated it by doing the exact opposite. So what is the Obama era reconstruction that Trump is trying to counter program? So under Obama, the pool closes for a major reconstruction for $34 million from the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. And it's not a cosmetic repainting. They did a structural rebuild meant to stop the sinking, leaking, and water waste problems. So they drained the pool over 2 years. They remove most of the structure. They raise it out of the marshland that Harry's talking about, reduce the depth by about 6 inches, and drive more than 2,100 timber pilings into the ground to keep the new pool from sinking. And they also add circulation and filtration for the first time, plus a tinted bottom intended to improve that reflectivity. So they finally reopen it in 2012, and they start refilling the pool. And that circulation system pulls water from the tidal basin, and it does improve the water quality, reduces municipal water use, and updates engineering for the long term. Okay, go on, buddy. But by late 2012, that algae still shows up. And even after the major rebuild, the pool is not maintenance free. And the algae just blooms weeks after the post-renovation refill, similar to what just happened. Reportedly timed to the calibration issues in the new ozone filtration. So the ozone filtration system breaks down, and then all of a sudden, algae starts popping up. So they drain it again under Trump in June of 2017 because of more issues. And then in April 26, Trump decided, look, we're going to take care of this. It needs to be fixed. Obama did a bad job. I'm going to do the right thing. So he gives the Interior Department awards a no-bid contract to Atlantic Industrial Coatings for the reflecting pool work. And the justification is urgency. The project needs to be done before July 4th. The plan is to install an epoxy primer over the concrete slabs and a tinted polyurea liner in a color Trump calls American flag blue. Now, in May, Trump inspects that new coating, and his motorcade drives on it, May 7th and 8th. He makes an unannounced trip to inspect the blue coating, and AP reporting says he drives across this new coating before getting out of his SUV. And not just him, multiple cars. Think of the entire motorcade. You can find video of this. And says the old gray stone color was never good, and new coating will give people the color they wanted for this. So, of course, anytime Trump does something, somebody sues. The Cultural Landscape Foundation sues to halt the project, arguing the administration is rushing ahead without the required review and public consultation for a historic landscape. Again, another thing that happens. He tore down half the White House, a quarter of the White House. So in May 26, we start to see technical concerns. So factcheck.org summarizes reporting that the coating concerns predated the most visible peeling. Experts were already raising questions about the motorcade driving over that newly coated surface, and later reporting said interior staff had concerns about bubbling and small holes in waterproof laying. Now, can you shut my door, please, honey? The blue liner is finally completed in early of June of this year. So we're doing this on June 27th. The Park Service says more than 2 months of renovations are completed in early June. The 2,000-foot long basin has been drained, coated with a tinted plastic-like liner to waterproof and protect the concrete surface, and then they refill it. That is June 4th through the 9th. They refill it. The alleged damage reported on June 9th could have happened before the full pool was fully refilled and visible. So the the National Park Service, the U.S. Park Police respond to a National Park Service complaint. According to the NPS Deputy Director, his name's Frank Lands, the police report describes caulk over a foam sealant cut with a sharp knife or razor, destruction of the delaminating surface material, and about 70 fence post tops thrown into the pool. AP notes the statement does not exactly say when the damage occurred, does not identify who did it, and does not prove that the broader vandalism claims are true. But that is the core of the vandalism claim, that it happened as the pool was being refilled. So by mid-June 2026, a week later, algae blooms and the blue coating starts to peel. The pool is restored, but the water's hit by algae, and for more than a week, pieces of the new coating are starting to peel. June 16th through the 18th, the crew treats the algae. Maybe you've seen this, right? You've seen the Interior Department pouring hydrogen peroxide to treat the algae as early as June 16th. And around June 18th, that's when we hear, roughly 10 days ago, that this liner's all peeling off. And the experts say, random experts who know about pool linings apparently, say possible causes include surface preparation problems, moisture, water intrusion, coating thickness, chemical compatibility, water chemistry, heat, humidity, failure to bond to the concrete. There is no one reason that this liner failed. And this is an important thing to understand. You've got all of these different pieces that go into it. It was improperly restalled. It was driven on. It's hot. It's built poorly. It is a pool that is just always going to have algae in it, probably because of the way that it is set up. So the vandalism narrative escalates the 19th through the 25th. Trump repeatedly says maybe people put fertilizer in there to cause the algae. Well, there was a gash of 350 feet across the pool. So Trump says the pool will be repaired after the July 4th. And as Rhinehold said, not many arrests actually along those lines. They're just kind of saying it. So again, this was built in the 1920s on unstable marshland, rebuilt from 2010 to 12. It hasn't fully fixed those problems. The problems that it had, the rhino lining, literally like the truck bed lining that you put on your car, like similar to what was put down, isn't going to fix it. And so those are the details of kind of the history and what's been going on. If you're not really sure about what this is, like what jumped out to you, Harry, as I read through some of these details?
I think one, the rhino line of things. So tons of dads with their pickup trucks who only move laptops around or justify not to let people move with their pickup truck because they got pickup trucks to move in. Yeah, it's just a hit at people who own pickup trucks. Two people doing that. But the the algae, so like the hydrogen peroxide when they put it in, so this oxidizer they put in there may have, which we don't know, which people are trying, like they're trying to find out. They may have did disrupt an algae bloom, but also fueled these a second and a third algae bloom. That's the other thing going on. This isn't one event because it's a standing pool. It's a standing thing of water. I think when people hear pool, they think swimming pool, or they think of the fountains that they've seen out, like even the canal in downtown Indianapolis. They see that thing, which does have algae. But the biggest difference between those, like the reflecting pool, is only 18 inches deep in Monument's deepest spot. It's not very deep. And it's meant to be a reflecting pool of the Washington Monument. It's just a reflecting pool. It's meant to reflect. So there's no real water movement like a fountain in the middle, which would circulate and move this thing and bring some of the algae down. That doesn't, and because it's meant to just meant to reflect. Not a swimming pool. It's not a retention pond. It is just supposed to be a big water mirror on the ground. That's what this thing is. And it is goofy that all these, like, the one thing that could solve the issue of like getting this thing to is just going out and doing the water filtration. Underneath the Lincoln Monument, there is space to put stuff like that. If they were going to spend that much money, that would have been the thing, to put a tank of water down there and a filtration system and tank, so it's easy to do these things. It's they spent that as money to set up. Yes, there's space beneath the Lincoln Monument. It's not a conspiracy theory at all. That there's concrete in there because that is all swamp. It's all swamp. It's literal swamp. This is where all this was raised from. They always have to keep reinforcing and checking the concrete, making sure all the other the gigantic monuments inside of Washington, D.C. aren't sinking back into the marsh where they came from. All that beautiful Indiana limestone that's there won't go back into the ground. Yes, it's Indiana limestone. It's ours.
Is it? I did not know that.
Most of it's Indiana.
Well, I know like the Lincoln Memorial and the Capitol and some of that. That's like Indiana. I didn't know that the base of this was Indiana limestone. That's cool.
Most of it's all. A lot of it's like a lot of the glass is all even from like the dunes inside of Indiana. From Indiana too. A lot of it. The Indiana is that's us there. That's all our stuff out there.
So let me give you 2 more notes about this before we go to Rhinehold. The company that did that work in 2010 under Obama was approached to do this work. And they just said that it was not feasible. And they just didn't think that you could renovate it in a way that would be suitable, that would work. They didn't want to have to come out and keep redoing work that was going to fail. And so who got the contract? It was a company called Greenwater, which is ironic because they were trying to make it blue water. And long story short, part of why this story is so funny to me, I may need you to switch the layout back after we get done with this, but this is the guy here, okay? He got a no-bid contract. This guy doesn't technically own the company because he went to jail for bribing James Traficant, the congressman. And the guy looks like a Dick Tracy. And didn't Harry, I mean, look at this guy. Every single 5th grade classroom had a kid that looked like this. Ours was named Charles. He was such a nice guy, Jehovah's Witness. But I swear he was in 5th grade and had the mustache. But that's exactly what our guy looked like. I guarantee you had one that looked like him too.
Probably.
So
a Dick Tracy character.
He does. He looks like a Dick Tracy character. But, you know, and they're just the ones who said they could do it. So they got a no bid contract, Rhinehold.
Well, yeah. It lives close to, so.
Exactly. So,
yeah. Well, and that's another example too, is because initially it was, hey, this is a guy I used before. And then when things started to have a problem, what does Trump say? I don't know who this guy is. Somebody recommended him to me. I never met him before. It's the same pattern.
Michael Cohen, who is that?
Yeah.
It's just funny it's to see. But that one thing I want to bring up too is that a lot of people who are complaining about this is like, at least it didn't cost as much as Obama spent and Obama didn't fix anything. And I'm like, that's not really true because Obama did a lot more than just, reline it and put in some filtration system. It was losing 500,000 gallons like a day. It was something like that. And they stopped that. That is no longer an issue because he did that work. So it did stop that specific aspect of it.
And then look, Barack Obama wasn't out there doing the work.
Yeah.
Like
right.
But like Barack Obama was competent enough to say to the National Park Service, hey, let's do this.
Correct.
Or maybe somebody did it and Barack Obama had no idea any of this was happening. That's part of why bureaucracy exists.
Yep.
It can be great and it can be horrible for those reasons.
Yep.
Right?
But it was just part of the scheduling of the maintenance on it. That's all it was just scheduling.
Exactly. It was the system taking care of the system's property. And I think that's a big distinction here, Rhinehold, is like, it wasn't Barack Obama doing it. Like it's accepting Trump's framing that somehow he's responsible for everything. He owns everything. He's doing everything. And that's what the president does. And that's not how this works. That's not how America's founding worked. It is
how it works now, currently, because we're letting it happen. And that's the biggest problem is that for a long time, people were saying, well, we have a system in place that would prevent this sort of thing from happening. And what we found out is, no, we don't. We think we do as long as people respect it. But if somebody gets in and does not respect it and has enough support for people who just want him to take and do what he needs to do or what they want him to do, how do you stop it? Because we don't have enough guardrails in place. We need more guardrails of government to stop them from being able to do
to
this.
Police government.
Yeah.
Or we need a lot less government and more guardrails. for the government.
Yeah.
How about that?
I mean, he got rid of all the people who were put in place by Congress to inspect what the executive is doing to make sure that the executive wasn't doing anything nefarious. And he fired all those people. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, that's cool. So obviously he has the power to do this, right? He has the power not to be indicted or arrested for anything he does. He's immune. Everybody says nobody in the country is immune from prosecution. Well, the president is now. We've proven that, and he can do whatever. My understanding of how when I grew up was a long time ago. Back in the day,
long time ago,
long time ago. And the idea in my mind was that Congress made the laws, and the executive branch executed those laws faithfully, as his oath says, to faithfully execute the laws of the land. The Congress makes the laws, the president executes them. The president just doesn't change the law or ignore the law or do whatever he wants to do just because it feels good to him and he doesn't like the way Congress had put the law in place. They're supposed to do what the law says, and the law has very specific processes, and he's just ignoring all of them. And he's getting away with it. So obviously he has the power to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's allowed to. I think, it's one of those guardrails. It's like, you gotta, I think it's one of those things where, like, just like where Indiana was getting to the place that it's only the governor could call the special session and during COVID, and they were realizing, wow, this is a bull crap system, and finally got stress tested. And we realizing this, and so Rhinehold is absolutely right. Yeah,
it's the mindset.
I think that's one. I think that's one of the failures of the Biden era is that they focused on too much nonsense or things that mattered. And this is the problem with Democrats. They govern for their coalition. Here's the breakdown of the parties. The Democrats are a coalition party. They exist of coalitions who then find enough collaborations to make this person the person. And that's why it's always breaking down the Democrats. Republicans have always been a top-down group. We're just behind this person. We're going to do whatever they say. The Libertarians are not functional because they're a coalitional party too. And so instead of spending the Biden years passing legislation for new amendments or whatever, they just sort of were, let's please our coalitions. It just was so unfocused in terms of the actual threat. And it was up to the Democrats to solve the threat, because the Republicans, Mitch McConnell, was never going to do anything. He should have charged him with that last impeachment, and he didn't do it. And Mitch McConnell is totally responsible for the second term and what happens as a consequence.
Right. And you see what happens now is that we now have we have the Vice President of the United States saying, can you believe they got rid of Nixon for that little thing that he did back in the 70s? I mean, that would be a 12-hour news story now, and it would be on to something else, that horrible thing that the president did that should be impeached for. It's just constant daily stuff that Nixon, if Nixon done one of those things, he's out. But because we're in a different time now where it's about transactions and I'm getting what I want, so I don't care, let him do whatever, as long as I'm getting what I think I want out of this. As long as I think I'm getting what I want, then they're just letting it go. And that's the really big problem of all of this, in my opinion, is that we now have people, the Vice President of the United States, saying it without any kind of self-thought or worry that we should be caring about this stuff. We should just let whatever happens. Why is this even a controversy? Why are we questioning?
Yeah, I mean, that to me is like the hilarious thing about the freak out of like New York City electing a communist congressperson. I don't know anything about the story, but like I just kind of see Republican friends posting, like WIBC, the local talk station, is socialism going to take over Indiana next?
Well, that's why they're fifth place. And
right. I'm sorry, like the stories from conservative media about socialist takeovers this week has been hilarious. It's like Republicans control the Supreme Court, the presidency, both houses of Congress, the vast majority of state legislatures and governorships. Like, you're in charge. Not that one mayor in New York City who's pretty irrelevant in the grand scheme of power. It's very powerful in New York City, but like, this is not a signal that socialism is going to take over the state with a supermajority Republican. party.
And even if it does, how is it different from now?
And it's
What's so
Right.
different?
This person.
I
this
mean,
person beat out-
Mamdani, that's a great point. Hold on, Rhinehold. Mamdani might get into office and start taking shares of companies.
Right.
Yeah, we'll bail you out, but we're going to own your company.
That's a horrible thing. How is that even? How would even anybody support that?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that all the stock, all the pieces that Trump has got in all these companies now, that the government has all these companies because of Trump, none of them have made a dime.
Yeah, because Rhinehold, the government can't even clean a pool right.
Clean pool.
What do you think that they're going to suddenly be able to run companies? Every every ad for pool cleaning on Facebook that I see, I just tag Donald Trump in it now. And so my entire feed is just pool cleaning.
Well, and part of what happened too with the right is that there's a satire site on Facebook called Allrod, ALLOD. I think it's I can't remember what it stands for. It's a fake, basically a fake right wing site. It's called ALORD satire. Everything it says on there says none of this is real. People were taking that story that he put out about how it was vandalized. They put out a fake story saying this was vandalized and we have the people in place and here's the guy who arrested the person who was doing all the vandalization. Right? The guy didn't exist. It was all fake. But the right wing sphere took that, ripped off all of the indications that it was fake. So they knew it was fake because they were ripping off that information and passing it around as this is what happened. And that's how the story got to, we have vandalization going on too. That's where that story really picked up speed. And the president was like, oh, this sounds cool. Let's go with that. And now there's another one where they put out another one where it's like, oh, they're putting all we found a secret Antifa, Obama run place, a lab, and it has all this stuff in there. And it was a picture from something from weeks ago, from years ago. And it was another fake thing. And now that's been running over and everybody's like, this is happening. We need to get these people out of here. And it just fuels their hatred and their desire to destroy the Democrats. And it's like, you guys understand we need both parties at least in there or people are just going to do whatever they want. There's no pushing back. So you have to have that back and forth. You have to have that fight between you. I don't know how many times I heard when Obama was elected that the Republicans are done. The Republicans will never get another election. The demographics of the country are making so the Republicans will never be in charge again. And I'm like, they run everything now. And they're complaining that they're getting all the elections are getting stolen from them. But you've won them all. How are you getting them stolen from you? I don't understand that. And it's so maddening that people are just following because they want the result to be true. So they don't care. Anybody who's saying it's not is a hater.
Yeah.
Just TDS. Just says, you just hate Trump. I'm like, well, I do.
Guys like these people who are totally off in left field who are obsessed with Trump and how much they hate him. People like Tucker Carlson.
Or MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thomas Massey's he's been a fool forever, right?
A rhino. He's always been a rhino.
This is the thing that you don't listen to the show anymore, but we've had lots of people who listened to the show over the years. Like, who's the YouTube commenter that would always love to argue with us about norms? But it was always a lot of like Dave Smith libertarians. And it's just been very satisfying to see all of you go, none of you have said we were right. Yeah. You haven't messaged me and said, yeah, I was a fool. I got bamboozled. Mm-hmm. You were right the whole time. You should. I'd be really glad. I'll be kind. Rhinehold won't. But it's like you got caught up in it. You just got caught up in the fervor of the post-COVID thing. You fell for it. You thought this guy was this way. Good on Tucker Carlson for like coming out and saying, I was stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you. I was wrong. Like, he's at least got that going for him, Rhinehold. Can you say that about Tucker?
I've always said that Tucker was always kind of a middle of the road guy anyway, and he saw his when he went to CPAC and was trying to tell them that they needed to work more with the Democrats to get what their agenda is done, and got soundly booed. That's when he went full right wing MAGA whatever, right? So he switched on a dime to get the relevance. Well, I think he's finding out that it's not working anymore, and he wants the relevance again. So he's trying to find a way back into the graces to get that done. And he's seeing the support that NTG's getting. I think, and maybe Massey. And he's like, maybe this is my path to go. But I don't think he ever believed the right wing stuff. He was never really a Trump guy. He's on record of people having recordings of him in the lawsuit of him saying that he thinks Trump's an idiot and crazy and all this other stuff. He's never really fully bought in. So I'm glad he's finally admitting he's coming out of it. But I don't think he was ever really gone. He was just doing it for transactional purposes. He was making money.
Yeah,
I think
getting relevance.
Maybe the Trump thing, yeah, but I think at this point, I don't think it's like he's going. And this argument's made about MTG. I'm doing these things to get back in the good graces of the mega culture or whatever you want to call it, the monoculture.
Yeah.
And so it's not like Tucker Carlson is going to start getting his own TV show on NBC. He's not getting invited on CNN. Like that, those days are over, and MTG has enough beliefs that it's not going to last.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene is still right wing. I mean, you listen to her talk. She's still America first. She's still right wing things. She's upset mostly about the Epstein stuff and how she was treated because of it. Right. So that's where she got her break from Trump, is that she saw how Trump was really, because it came on to her. And so she's out of that, but she's still America. She's still bought in America First MAGA stuff. So I think she's different than Tucker Carlson. And Candace Owens is the same way. Candace Owens was a liberal for a long time, and she saw it a way for her to make relevance by going to the other side and doing that thing. And now she's trying to pull herself back. So I think she's more in line with what Tucker Carlson is. But I don't.
Is it possible that they just actually believe this? That it's not some cynical play that
MTG believes it. Well, I know MTG believes it. I just think
to me, somebody like MTG, like there's I feel like she believed this a long time, is just kind of afraid to say it, and then finally said it, and then suffer the consequences. I don't feel like there's this enormous upside to saying it from like now the left is gonna like the damage is done. Her beliefs are still her beliefs. It's like they're not gonna go.
She's not gonna get embraced by the left, is what you're saying. But and I don't think she's trying that. She's still like more right wing, and she still thinks that she's a right wing person to represent the party after Trump is gone.
I just think people have like Meghan McCain. People have shifting beliefs. Mm-hmm. People don't believe the same thing now that they may have believed 10 years ago, right? I don't think that we always have to. I think some people do go. I think Candace Owens is a great example of somebody that is totally transactional, who is doing things to kind of be popular.
Yeah. From freaking day one with Candace Owens. She flip-flopped on Gamergate, and she did it when she was guest starring on Dave Rubin. From day one, grifted.
Yeah, but I don't think that every person who like goes, I was wrong about Trump is like somehow.
How many people who came out initially that Trump was a fascist and Trump is this and Trump is that, and then become one of his biggest supporters to try and get something in the administration, and like a Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz and those people. Ted Cruz is completely humiliated by Trump, and now he's like his biggest puppet. At some point, these guys may finally just say, "Hey, I'm not getting anything what I wanted out of this anymore. So I'm going to go back to the way I really feel. I'm going to make how I really feel be known."
Yeah, I feel that's fair. Yeah. All right. Well, let's start wrapping up. Final thoughts, Harry.
All right. So I do recommend, when trying to have this conversation about the reflecting pool of people, is do that free will test. Make sure they've got free will, because if they don't, there is no point of having that conversation. You're just going to end up frustrating yourself, because this person is not, they're bad faith. They're not playing for that. So there's no point of having the conversation. Spangle's right. This is an easy way to just approach someone to figure out what is going on. Like, even if they are a huge Trump supporter, they can see that this is why someone shouldn't act with the power of the U.S. government on their own and just do something. Because mistakes like this happen, things get caught, things get slowed down. And sometimes you just got to mitigate and live with some things. And that's what I think this is a good demonstration on why these things exist, because everything else is heavy. It's hard to deal with that. And this one is more definitive. It's got a clear beginning and technically an end to just start back up. It's not like a continuation and still have to go and look in some historic.
Yeah, it's not like Ukraine or Gaza or,
Or or just some court cases. We've got to keep looking at court filing, and they don't let cameras in. It's like, this is what's clearly happening. This is CCP level of cope, of saving face cope.
It really is like have you seen The Death of Stalin? Either of you?
No.
You've got to see that movie.
Okay.
This is just exactly what it feels like.
It is very weird, because the things I would make fun of and talk about the CCP, it's the same thing that Trump's is doing. They're the exact same things. There really is no difference. I'm not saying that, they're both bad. No, it's not. Chinese people are great. Americans are great.
Ryan Ripley, Joe Ruiz, and I did a podcast called The Show Report, and we did a segment on Jay Carney, making fun of Jay Carney for like how it was like propagandistic. I'm like, they're like, hold my beer. It's Catherine What's-Her-Face Levitt. It's like just a totally different level. Like the 34-year-old that Trump is apparently, leaving him love notes everywhere. It's like she has gone, according to her family, like completely flipped the script.
Yep. But no, this is, like I said, this is a lot of the goofy things that you watch all those different, like, because if you're like me, watch and make fun and poke at China. These the exact same things are happening when they mess up, and they try to hide it and talk about it and get their media people.
Go read about Jack Ma. If you want to validate what Harry is saying, go look into Jack Ma. Here's a guy who was Alibaba, started this major company, got slightly critical of the Chinese government, and then they disappeared him. Now he's had to humiliate himself to kind of get back in the good graces. He's allowed to be in appearances now.
Yep.
But also, just it's a great illustration of exactly what you're talking about. And look, Ryan Lindsay, the socialist libertarian that was a part of Wall like 6-7 years ago, he used to say to me, like, the end game for America and democratic liberal capitalism is China. That's where you end up. And I thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever heard at the time. But now I look at Palantir, I look at like the G7 summit, where you have the heads of our governments sitting next to all of these tech oligarchs as if they're heads of states. Why Alex Jones talking about neo-feudalism now looks a lot more like, maybe this is where we're heading. Maybe Ryan was right.
Yeah. Well, you look at it because when I try to talk to people like data centers, like, it's not that people are upset at data centers. What they're upset is that they are allowed to skirt every rule that everyone have put in place.
Yeah.
They're not having to pay property taxes. And then when they do have to pay property taxes, it'll be based off of a concrete building, not the $1 billion worth of things that go through this thing. So the schools won't be funded. They don't have to give the same EPA regulations. It is nuts, because any other corporation got these guys, like, they can do things, but just them, not you. Them.
Yeah.
And especially, I don't know why the Midwest is bending over to these companies that, most of them wouldn't even dare to even put
because they don't want to get left behind. If you're one of these states and you lived through the economic collapse of 2008 and the 60s through the 2010s, where you lost all this population, you lost all this, like, you don't want to get left behind. And these companies come in and say, we're the future, and this is the only way you're going to get employment, because it's going to be robots doing everything, even though all that's BS.
Yeah,
they don't want to get left behind. But I also think, like, the data center thing is a little bit of the current thing, like, for the left and the right.
I see it as
in the current thing, where it's like, you can't have a reasonable discussion about this because you're too emotional about it.
I see it as, because most Hoosiers know the story of, like, how Indiana got screwed over with the canal projects. This is the whole country's canal.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy. That's a really good metaphor.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts, Rhinehold.
This is just, like I said, as we pointed out, this is an example of how this administration works, is going to function, and it will for the next 2 years. So I don't know what we can do to stop it, other than midterms vote out the people who are MAGA, that are giving him the support and the cover. That is probably going to be hard to do now that they've picked on the new talking point for the rest of the year. You're going to hear nothing but this for the next several months, up into the midterms is
Hear
that
what?
you're going to hear that communism's taking over and we need to stop it. And it's being imported from all these illegal aliens, and they're taking over the country. A great example is a discussion on Fox News the other night where Jesse Waters was saying that, can you believe that 35 to 40% of the people who live in New York City weren't born in America? And it's like, yeah, if you go back and look at the history of New York City, that has always been the case. That's pretty much the average of what that number has been from day one. I don't know why this is a big deal now to you, other than the fact that I think maybe then they were mostly what you would consider white. I don't know. But it's going to be the new talking point for the next several months. And they're going to try and use that to cover up from all the other disastrous stuff they've been doing for the past several months that they're trying to use to cover for other things. That, like the Iran war was supposed to be a cover for the Epstein, which then doesn't work. So now they've got the July 4th stuff's going to be a cover for the Iran stuff, and that's not working now because of the pool. And now they're going to use communism is here to take us over. Just like there's other people who are saying that Islam's coming to, the Muslims are coming to take over the country. The number of Muslims in the country right now is less than 1%, maybe right at 1%, but they're taking the country over and they're going to come get for you. And it's that constant fear of the other taking over the reactionary mindset of the right-wing populace that is going to drive the conversation of politics for the next 4 months, and just get ready for it.
Yeah, we're not talking about like him driving over to the liner. We're talking about the vandalism. It's like, this just happened here where there's a guy named Greg Ballard. I'm going to do a show on this because I think it's really interesting. A guy named Greg Ballard, who was mayor of Indianapolis, last urban Republican mayor in the country. And he's running as an independent in the ballot access race for Secretary of State here in Indiana. And they had to hire petitioners. They have over 60,000 petition signatures. They need 35,000 to get on the ballot. He gets on the ballot. They get 2%. It becomes a new third party. And so the local Republican GOP chair of kind of the suburban county that's going purple, they put out that this guy basically turned in 10. Greg Ballard didn't turn in 10 fake forged signatures. The thing about these petitioners is they're paid per signature. Mm-hmm. And so the temptation for these people who stand outside of Walmarts all day trying to get petitions, who already live not great lives, very mobile. This guy who was a contractor for a subcontractor to the campaign turned in forged signatures. It happens all the time in signatures. You don't want that to happen. Yeah, there's a law against it. It didn't deter this person. Let's get rid of signatures. Just put them on the ballot. And so the Republicans are trying to have this stolen election narrative out of these 10 signatures out of what's going to probably be 70 to 80,000 signatures. 10 out of, but that little nugget then can be used to propagandize. And the local media just printed it. Like the TV stations specifically just took the story. Well, we got a comment, the fifth paragraph is the comment from the Ballot campaign, but the first 4 paragraphs are all just adopting this entire pretext. The media just completely adopted the narrative and played on the Republicans' turf. It was very disappointing and silly. Yeah. And that's what's happening with the reflecting pool. We're talking about vandals. And did the vandalism happen? And did this happen? It's like the police shootings over the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Well, did he have a gun? Did he have a hoodie on? Did he blah, blah, blah? No, the problem is the power of the police department. And they think that they can execute young black men and get away with it. Yep. That's the problem. It's not, did this guy do something? Did he have a criminal record? It's the people with power and how they're executing it. Anyways, that's my final word. Thank you both for being here. As well, thank you for listening to We Are Libertarians here on the Chris Spangle Show. We're so glad to be with you, and we'll be again with you soon. And I'll talk to the guys, and maybe we can do a mid-month episode here to make up for the 1 month that we lost. Harry made a face because he doesn't want to miss on his stretching, but send him notes and talk him into it. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you soon here on We Are Libertarians.